From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Riffs with your host, Keith Reza.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, guy.
Hey, I'm wearing the hat too.
You what? They're doing a sequel. I understand it. Why are you like this? Oh wait, do I have to turn mine?
Yeah, I think you're like that.
I don't want to do it so it's like thin, like a girl does. Like takes a picture. Girl takes a picture. You like this? Do you want a girl show? Is this?
This is fine. Yeah, you look beautiful. Yeah.
Girl show. I'll take my top off. How are you, man?
Good. How are you? I'm in San Diego.
You're in San Diego.
Yeah, I have shows this weekend, and they put me up in a Motel 6. I don't know if you've ever stayed at a Motel 6, but it's so scary.
Where are you performing?
American Comedy Club with TJ Miller.
Oh, okay. Is that what they've rebranded it, or is he opening? Is he the featured act?
No, he's the headliner. I'm the feature act.
I'm still getting used to all the lingo. I'm a preacher stage, so I can say strike, which is two meanings now, which means like strike the set or lose your house.
Yeah.
But can you hear me? Because I feel like I'm yelling. Should I put my headphones on?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I could hear you fine. I was wondering if you could hear me because I'm at a Motel 6.
I hear there's going to be a Motel 7 if Bill Murray approves the script.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That's a hip joke, but not for a sense of humor.
No, I got it. As long as it's better than Super 8.
I'm Keith Reza. I have a podcast show. I have my own show. I could talk to Dermot Mulroney. I can cry on my show. I just listened to and I'm not making fun of it because I literally I was like, why don't I listen to this man who's listening to me? It's the least I can do, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, the only step down would be like sleeping while you talk, but I can listen. And I did. And I was listening to your Norm show, and now I'm all weepy. And you've got probably close to 8 people, 7 of whom are my family, listening to this right now.
Oh, nice.
Going, why would you depress yourself? It wasn't depressing at all. It was actually really beautiful. Is there what's your friend's name? I'm blanking.
It's Victor Pacheco.
Victor Pacheco. I'm sorry. How you doing, man? That dog really isn't making much progress at all.
No.
Slow creeping along, but he wants to do it well. I respect it. Well, here goes 20 years.
I was like, Craig's back for more. This is great because I had like 5 questions I didn't get to, and I know Victor had one. So
because if you ask me one question, I start wandering around like some blind man groping for food.
But that makes the best podcasts, though, because that's interesting.
Well, hopefully, that's for the audience to say. Namaste. Namaste. Caroline Ray.
Oh, I love her. I would love to get
comedy
her.
goddess. Oh, I'll give her a call. She's a great friend. She calls me Beano. She calls me Beano because we met doing a sitcom. You could probably see this coming, but we met doing a sitcom. I was a tad gassy at the time, and we just do a line, and you're like, and she'd be like, Beano. So she calls me Beano. She's still to this day. But I'll give her a call right after this. And, set that up.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people in the world. The very first time I met her, does this affect anything? Because I can hear you, but I don't think there's a microphone inside of it. So it's not like improving.
I could hear you fine.
You sound great.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the headphones are for you so you could hear us.
I just want to look like you. First of all, thank you so much for this hat. I wear this hat every day. I don't know. You judge.
You look good with the hat.
Wait, now we can't hear Craig at all.
Do you think it's? I don't. What's that? What'd you say?
Oh, I said we couldn't hear you at all. I think it's one of those headphones that only the microphone only works if the headphones are on the ears. Type of thing.
Good. So it is. It's hooked up to the system. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a big head, but I normally if I would go like, do you have something like more Easter Islandy? Because I got a giant head. But I love this so much, and I know that you went out of your way to get it.
I'm
a man, more to me.
I'm a man of my word. Yeah, I mean,
big thing in show business.
Well, I feel that's the only thing you got. You know what I mean? So, there
are plenty of men who are not men of their words, and they surprise you sometimes. But you are. God bless you.
Oh,
this means a lot to me. This is a treasure. This is in my. I'm sitting among my treasures right now, and I keep it right by there. See it, put it on, go out about my business.
Nice,
which is right now looking for business. That's my business.
That's a great business to be in. I was wondering, have you ever thought about making your own podcast? Because I think that would be cool.
I have. I'll send you the. I can't call it it's sort of, what do they call it? Maybe a proof of concept.
Yeah.
Which is, and the only other time I did something like that was, did we talk about this last time? I can't remember.
No, we talked about your bathing with John.
Yes,
Malkovich.
bathing with Bierko. Did I send it to you?
No, I watched it on the YouTube and I thought it was great.
Oh, okay.
You sent it to me before the podcast. It's great.
You can't unsee it. You can't unsee that. How brilliant is he, by the way?
Oh, he's the best. I was just wondering. It's kind of hard.
Yeah. To see a great actor, and the lighting is essentially like it's like Brazilian boy porn. Like it's like zero, like just like it's not lit to make the human flesh look delicious, and but there's a real lesson in that, because it is what it is, which the concept is what it is. And he was so up for it. And because of his confidence, I actually think he comes off, I don't want to say sexy because we're two guys naked in a tub, but
right.
There's something about confidence, certainly in a man, that just overrides. I learned a lot,
Yeah.
And the next episode, I think I told you we did was, I can send you pictures of it, and I have the raw footage. We did Richard Dreyfuss. He didn't want to take his shirt off for reasons of his own. Why would you want to do that in the first place? But that was his one condition. Couldn't get him to take his shirt off. We didn't show it, and I thought if you took it off and just had this, I mean. I don't know. It was a big lesson in, you think if you take your shirt off and I don't know, maybe you got a scar or you feel like you've got a pendulous bosom, whatever.
Or maybe you don't want to be attracted to other men. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you think I'll get a boner, or maybe you'll get a boner. Can I say you? I don't want to use salty language, but he didn't want to do it, and I thought, I actually am a huge fan of his, and I think he's a great American. I actually love what he's doing. Like currently, he's sort of kind of stepped to the left of acting. He's sort of pushing this agenda to get civics taught in high school again, which sounds really boring. I was the first generation that where after they took civics out of the classroom syllabus nationally. So I didn't get educated in civics, which is the class that tells you how your government runs. Yeah. So basically, my generation is, we got to run those Saturday morning cartoons. I'm just a bill. Jamie Raskin's talking. I'm just a bill. I'm just sitting here in Capitol Hill. You got to run those cartoons to your head, because but there really wasn't, we had like a day and a half of social studies where they're like, okay, here are the three, there's the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. And beyond that, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I need to pay my taxes, or the Men in Black will come.
They should really teach that in school, how to pay your taxes.
That's what he's dedicating his life to doing. And if you follow him on Instagram, which I do, he's written a great book, and he's really trying to push that forward. I admire him. I admire Jeanine Garofalo, another great American who sort of at the peak of her career kind of set everything aside and didn't set it aside, but just prioritized, going like on the O'Reilly Factor or whatever, and like facing off against those mooks on Fox,
Yeah.
And was part of, with Sam Cedar and Mark Maron, started Air America, which kind of didn't work, because there's no Democratic version of angry AM Republican TV or radio. But that was their try, and it was great. It was fascinating. And I think she's out there performing again. But I don't know. That's enough of my preambling. I think our audience is warm.
They're warmed up. Yeah. Well,
and let's go to your 5 questions. Oh, I'm excited and nervous, but I'm also happy and sad. Let's go.
Well, I wanted to tell you my Richard Dreyfuss story, because I met him once at a comedy show, and I was just so like awkward and stuff, because like it's Richard Dreyfuss, like this guy's in Jaws, you know what I mean? So I go up to him, and instead of asking like, hey, you want to do my podcast or something, I asked him this: is there going to be another stakeout? And he just looked at me. And I was like,
and he was like, that film. And he goes, no, not the film. I just mean in general. Police. You must have your ear to the ground locally. Is there going to be another stakeout? The films were shit. Jesus Christ, no, that was like cancer.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He just looked at
anything?
No, he just looked at me like that was the stupidest question he's ever heard, because stakeout was like 30 years ago.
The difference between an actor, it's really amazing. You if you haven't yet, you're on your way, obviously. But as you talk to actors, and comedians, for me, like I'm always taken aback when I meet an actor who's known for being funny on film. Like they have a gift, and there's something that, there's a twinkle in their eye, and they're hilarious in films, and you meet them in person and they're just dullards. I guess comedians too,
Yeah.
They're more technicians, and they've studied the technique. Although I think it's a little bit more rare with comedians, it's just that when they're off stage, they can allow their depression to flourish, which is larger than, and which drives the comedy. Maybe that's it. But like, because I've met so many comedians who they've lost their laugh, instead of laughing, they just go, that's funny. And then they're being totally sincere. Yeah. But like really great comedians, like, Norm, of course, our beloved Norm, I mean, it was totally like, I love watching him laugh. And you can tell when someone really hits him, like in that first with Bob Einstein.
Oh yeah, super.
We don't have music on the show. His delivery, every line, I think I could probably do every line straight through the entire show, if not pretty close. Oh. But you meet an actor known for being funny, and then you realize the minute they walk in the room, you can feel this heaviness. You go, oh, that's right. They perform scripts written by funny people who engineer situations that make them beloved because they fit the suit and say the lines in the right way. But in person, they're insufferable, boring, terrible, just chunks of meat.
No, for sure.
I don't know what it is. Somebody once said that, the difference between an actor and a movie star is that, an actor, you've got to be a student of life. You get up there on stage, you tell us like a comedian, it's a performance from beginning to end, and you've got to feel your audience, and every performance is different. If and you sort of you can spend a lifetime learning the nuances of how to do that. A movie star is different because a movie star's 20 different people. Jack Nicholson himself said, I can't get on stage and do what people do. I'm an editor. I'm a colorist. I'm a director. I'm, what are some other film things? Parking,
Yeah.
I'm all that stuff, and it's other people's decisions. And I don't know. It's they said a movie star more often than not is somebody who has almost a third of their self empty and vacant, so that the audience can project whatever they need to project on them. Like, think of some big box office, I don't want to name anybody, but you meet
Cusack.
them. I like John Cusack. Well, I happen to like John Cusack, even though I don't politically right now. I'm like, what? Really? But
John's my favorite actor, man.
There's no doubt about it's so there's something so ridiculously like he's probably an anomaly. And also, while he's a movie star, there's a difference between John Cusack and, say, well, I'm not going to name any names, but
okay.
I've never met John Cusack, but I've corresponded with him, and I corresponded with him recently just about something political. I wanted him to blast something that a friend of mine from Israel wrote. And so we had a back and forth about that. And while I found his reasoning that didn't align with mine, it didn't quite make sense. We both come from the same place. He's got a big heart. And we're at whatever. I mean, I know right now he tours and he'll show a movie, talk about his movie. I think that's basically his bread and butter right now.
I saw that show. It was so funny.
What movie was it?
So what I went is I've told this story before, so I'll kind of rush it a little. So I went to go see he was playing a Grosse Pointe Blank, and he was doing Q&As.
Okay, great.
And he was doing Q&A. He's the funniest guy in the world, and he was doing Q&As. And this lady, she's like, John, I'm your biggest fan. In every single movie, you talk on the cell phone, and I just wanted to know why. And John Cusack, the great JC, is like, oh, that's not true. I don't talk on a phone in every movie. And she's like, no, I'm your biggest fan. I watch all your movies. You talk on she's telling him about him. And he's like, well, did you ever see the Jack Bull? She's like, yeah. He's like, it's a Western. Got the biggest laugh in the whole, it was the funniest joke I've ever heard.
I get the sense that he's there's something very real about him. It's very nice when you meet. Like I said, I've never met him, but I've corresponded with him. But there are some people it's always nice when they match up with whatever facade they've built. Ron Howard is basically Ron Howard. He has more dimension, but you get the sense that I saw him do something incredible. We were shooting Cinderella Man. We were losing the light. We had to do some real difficult bit of fight choreography, whatever it was. But we had to get it done. Blah blah blah. And some guy walks out of there. Some extra comes out and goes, "I saw your biography last night." And everybody thought, "Oh Jesus, they're gonna come through the skylight and grab this guy. Nobody's ever gonna see him again. This is a big movie." And he just went, "Oh man, thank you so much for watching that. I really appreciate you taking the time. Really do." Gave him his Ron Howard moment. He can go tell that story for the rest of his life. He made eye contact and it was gone.
Yeah.
He mentally ushered him right up. It was something, it was completely sincere and necessary because he was in the midst of business. This guy broken through some barrier, but I love that. Tom Hanks, I found to be the same way. I worked with him just for 2 weeks on a workshop for a play he was doing. And I found him to be incredibly present and sincere. And a great listener. But more often than not, you meet these people, and a lot of them are comics. A lot of the comics I've met too, they've just, I don't know what it is, if it's success or the disappointment in what success seems to promise but can't deliver.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they just kind of there's a hunk of them that isn't there. But that's different than saying a movie star is someone who has everything. They have genetically, they won the lottery. They have an ability to perform, to connect, but there's something in their personality it's either vacant or dead or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the portion that the audience projects on. And it's so apparent. It's almost like a second screen within the screen. And though the audience wouldn't be conscious of that, this guy's theory was that's sort of what's happening. They can they don't disappear. There's almost, in a way, it's just easy. They can kind of it's like folding a wing over. If a bird had a wing that it was like an invisible cloak. Oh, but yeah. So think of a bird that has a wing. What's a bird? What's a wingless bird? What a moron. That's the second stupidest thing. The first stupidest thing I ever said was I was at the zoo in college with my college girlfriend, and we were looking at this ape real close up, and I went, his eyes move at the same time. You notice that? Like he'll look over there and then he'll look over there, and they both move at the same time. And she just looked at me and went, "Are you kidding?" And I went, "God, it'd be so much better for me and us if I said I was kidding." But I wasn't kidding, and I need to own that. That's so stupid. Like, how do I find food? Yeah. Remarkable.
But do you find when you have moments like that, like after you realize it's actually very, very funny, and you're like,
"Oh, of course." I want to ask you, because during your and we can do it off mic if you want to, unless you were kidding, but you said Norm shared the secret of comedy with you. I'd be interested to know that. But
I would have to tell you that off mic, because I
totally get it. And I would also get it if you didn't want to share it.
No, I'll share it with you. Only very few people that I love and trust. Like Victor knows the secret, but only people I trust, and I don't think listeners, as much as I love them.
Yeah, I get that. It's sort of like if you're a cobbler.
Yeah.
You don't start talking heels until somebody's 3 years in. Yeah. I've got quite a few apprentices working for me right now, cobbling my shoes. Only one of them knows about heels. I haven't taught the other two. They're not ready for that kind of information. They wouldn't be able to handle it.
Exactly. It's kind of like if you're in Africa, and like one of the things is you have to kill a lion to become a man. You don't ask your dad, how do you kill a lion? You got to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bad analogy, but
well, no, if I wasn't listening, so I can't judge, whoa. Time for my Ambien.
Well, let's get to these questions, because I know Victor has...
do it. Oh, but and then a pre-announcement, because we haven't even said this hat that I'm wearing, the sports hat. We mentioned it the first time we spoke that I was a big, huge fan. The fan isn't even the word. I still feel the loss of Norm. I didn't know him like you did, but very important to me. And you said, "Oh, I'll send you a sports hat," and you did. And you actually said you were out of them, so you went out and had one made.
Yeah.
And I treasure this. It's a remembrance. I really, really deeply appreciate it. So we celebrate Norm.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit those questions.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. So you kind of briefly talked about how writers, when they write a script, actors are funny, but they're not funny. It's usually the writers. I wanted to ask you, what was it like doing a Shane Black script? Because his scripts are so funny, and it just seems like maybe like they're so uniquely written. You know what I mean?
Well, I haven't seen Shane Black in probably more than 10 years, but he used to live right around the corner, and the first thing he ever said to me was funny, but I don't know that he meant it in a funny way.
Yeah.
But I think I think what it felt like was, oh, this is a guy who would write it was so sort of nakedly self-effacing. I get this. I was a pretty big role. Plus, I wasn't being cast as, I played the bad guy in Long Kiss Goodnight. He wrote Long Kiss Goodnight. And I'm on the plane flying to Toronto, and I'm really excited. And there's Shane Black, who I hadn't met yet. He goes, Bierko. And I go, yeah. He goes, I'm Shane Black. I said, oh, man, I'm so. And before I could say anything, he goes, why are you doing this? As if I was slumming.
Yeah.
And it was, to this day, I don't know whether he was like, I'm going to make this very lucky fucker laugh. Right. Or if there was something in him that, he gets the joke. He's like, I'm Shane Black. At the time, it was the biggest screenplay sale in the history of Hollywood. It was post Lethal Weapon. So it was, and America and Hollywood was on some crazy coked up nut binge and just spending and paying actors too much. That era is over. But he made, I don't know, it was some crazy like $4 million on a script, which was unheard of, and plus deals for other ones. And so this was a really expensive script, and it was funny. And he was there for he would come in and out. We had dinner a few times. And then he lived around the corner in Rock Hudson's old house, which was just basically 4 square feet larger than Los Angeles, huge mansion in this gated community. And they used to have these wild Halloween parties. They were really fun. And I remember he had an entire, what are you going to do? You're a single guy, you got 27 rooms. What are you going to do? He had a room, and this was back in the day, so it was videotapes, and all along the wall were just episodes of Dark Shadows, which was a TV show. Weird soap opera from the 70s. People might know the movie with Johnny Depp, but it was a daily soap opera that was about a vampire.
Yeah.
That Coke was involved with that one, but and he loved the show, and so he had all 17 seasons. I've never seen it, of just videotaped, and in soap operas you got to really stretch, and it's like the vampire's here.
Yeah,
let's walk into the sitting room until he arrives. There's been some trouble with Kyle.
At least he was obsessed with that and not Days of Our Lives.
I know. Which my father actually produced.
Oh, really?
But no.
I was gonna say I'm a big fan.
There's nothing. Yeah, but let me finish. Anyway, Shane Black. He was a delightful human being. You know what he did? He out of nowhere, I had gone out to Los Angeles and I was staying with Caroline Ray. I was staying in her guest house. And I get, I'm on that Cameo thing, and I get a request from Shane Black. He says, "Will you make one for Valentine's Day for my girlfriend?" So I did, and heard nothing. I assumed it went okay. I have a lot of fun with those Cameo things, and I think he gave me like a nice, generous tip, and I probably should have just picked up the phone and given him a call. But I will one of these days. He's terrific. I don't know exactly what he's doing currently. I know he had gotten to the point where he was directing with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Was it Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or
that was called with Robert Downey Jr.? One of the best movies ever. Oh my god, he's
so talented. And in this streaming era, I don't know if he'd want to do it. Boy, wouldn't it be great to have a weekly, Shane Black produced, written series,
starring you and me, or just
let's do it. Let's do it. No. I'll do it. There's always got to be an ex-girlfriend,
right?
So no. Okay. So did I come close to answering that question?
That was excellent, Victor. It's your turn. Right. We got to keep Victor involved.
Yeah.
Oh, keep it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a question about just in general for either advice or experience that you've had early on in your career that really affected you in a positive way that you still incorporate?
A what experience?
Like like a positive experience, or like any type of in the past, like or advice that you got from another actor or another artist that you still incorporate into your repertoire today?
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, I do remember. Well, the first show I ever did, the first gig I ever booked was this show called Our House. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I like I said, the last time we talked, I was so coked up. I don't remember. And I'm pretty coked up now. So when you go from coked up to coked up, it's like, I don't know. I hope I'm facing the camera, put it that way.
No, you are. You're doing a great job.
Talking to my telephone alone in an apartment.
You're doing a lot better than Andy Dick.
Oh my God. Stop it, Keith. Stop it.
Let's not. I don't want to pile on Andy Dick. I don't want to pile on Andy Dick.
No, I love Andy. I'm just saying.
Well, so the first thing I booked was this show called Our House. It starred Wilford Brimley. If you don't remember the character actor Wilford Brimley, I think he's still around, but he, just gruff. He played gruff. And so he was sort of the grandfather, and his daughter, played by Deirdre Hall, and grandchildren, played by a blonde kid, I don't remember his name, and what's her name from 90210, Shannon Doherty.
Oh yeah,
and my episode, she was great in this thing, and she was just sort of beginning, like, she was so beautiful, and I played a guy who wanders into town, and I knock on their door, and it turns out I might be Wilford Brimley's illegitimate son. And it turns out I'm actually, and I always get his name wrong, I don't remember whether it's Bill Huddleston or David Huddleston, but he's a great character actor. He played Santa Claus in Santa Claus the movie. He was in Blazing Saddles. Big bald guy. He stood up. He was one of the Johnsons that stands up and goes, whatever. You'd recognize him if you saw him. Anyway, it turns out he plays Wilford Brimley's friend in this, and it turns out he's actually my long lost father. We get arrested together, and we have our, we have that tough father-son conversation in a jail cell. It was such a TV show. But the first thing that happened was I walked in, and the director of the thing said, "Hey, Wilford, this is Craig Bierko. He's going to be playing Doug." And Wilford goes, "Looks nothing like me." So that was warm. And then later, I did most of my work with this other guy, Huddleston, and I'm sitting with him, and I'm like, I say, there's so much time between shots. And I asked him, "Do you have any advice? Like, like I went to theater school, but, I don't know how much I learned, at theater school. It's impossible." He goes, I go, "What do you know what about the method? Did you study the method?" He goes, "Yeah, let me tell you about the method. The method is like putting on a charcoal gray suit, standing on a street corner in a heavy rain, pissing in your pants. It's a nice warm feeling. Nobody knows what the fuck you're doing."
Oh my God!
I don't know what that was. I'm making him sound sinister, but it was a joke. I don't know why I went real dark there.
That was poetic, though. It's like a great metaphor. Like, oh my God! Like I could really envision myself. But I'm like, yeah, you're right. You don't know what.
It was terrific. It was something he's been saying for 50 years. He probably was asleep while he was saying it. But it was. I don't know.
Somebody probably told him that.
Well, I think you start out like I was, like I said, I was listening to your podcast where you were memorializing Norm, which really is beautiful, and I recommend everybody listen to it because it's a very nice, moving memorial. And I learned a lot about the little things, those nuances that make you feel like, oh, I never got to meet him. I wish I had, and this is as good as it's going to get. When somebody shares something that personal. It was very really beautiful, and I'm grateful for it. but how was I going to connect this? What the hell was I talking about? That's what happens, man.
You were talking about advice you got to make you a good actor, or your acting skills that you have today, right, Victor? That was the question.
Yeah. And somehow I wandered off into it's all about you. What the fuck was that? It's like some gree spell you put on me. It's like I'm working my ass off trying to get some work.
Well, here's what I remember.
Your podcast, and you put some Dracula spell on me, and I'm talking about your career. And it was about what I got from listening to that was like how beautiful it is to have a mentor, someone that you look up to. And I do have those people. They're kind, they're ancient history. Like my choir teacher in high school was just this extraordinary human being. Most of my teachers in high school, I mean, one of them, I mean, I still hang out with some of them. These guys were hippies who were dodging the draft in Vietnam. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like my social studies teacher, Mr. Pandisio, told us one day about, he said, most of us were, on the bus going to the draft center, eating instant coffee out of a jar to get our blood pressure up.
Yeah.
But they got onto us, so they'd keep us overnight. So what do you do? Now we're like in 8th grade going, and he's going, so what do? You call a friend and they sneak in some black beauties, right? I mean, incredible stories that you're not going to get from a history teacher. But I hang out with, I mean, grew up in a really small community called Rybrook. Just about 40 miles north of the city. And we had our own public school, but there were only about, I went to kindergarten with the same 90 people that I graduated high school with. And we all, basically it's like a big family, not a family, but who everybody is. And, life happens. And so you find out someone you really never even spoke to had passed away, and the whole class comes together and mourns. This choir teacher of ours passed away, and he meant so much to everybody in the school, even the jocks, all the groups. He just had a way of communicating with everybody. He was, it's more the people who inspire me they're more, it's more pedestrian than like actors. Like I look at someone like Gene Hackman and I go, if I can get even close to that, hilariously funny, excellent dramatic actor, Paul Newman. If I could get that handsome, I don't know where you learn that kind of thing, but excellent actor, true movie star, knew his way around, like you can work the camera. Like you watch him in like The Sting and you realize he's working as hard as the actual focus puller. He knows how to use that camera, and he is giving us these moments that feel arbitrary, but he and Redford and real movie stars. But the people in life who inspire me and make me want to get up in the morning and even do this, literally my mom, my stepfather Jim, and this guy Mr. Troutwine, Trouty, my high school choir teacher, who was just such a big character, very demanding. And he had these things that he would say, like, if somebody screwed up, he heard everything.
Yeah.
So if somebody screwed up, he would nail you, comically yell at you, embarrass you, whatever he needed to do. But, he always knew where the line was. But he was basically all about discipline. I learned about discipline in that class. And so after the screw up, he'd go, we go on. And so when he died, there's this whole page on Facebook where when he died, his entire history, he started it in like Goldsboro, North Carolina. He had this 40-year teaching history, and everybody from every class started communicating with each other and telling Troutwine stories of how life-changing, just taking a year of his class or 4 years. I couldn't get enough. I was like, I got into theater really early. He was, and he really instilled a sense of confidence, but the necessity of discipline. He used to say, don't you come in here if you're taking this class because you want to get out of, some AP class or English, he goes, you're in the wrong place because I'm going to push you even harder. I've been working all my life to be a musician and to teach music. That's my passion. And he would say this, anybody else says this and it's too much, but he'd say, we are the slaves of the composer. And if you think anything less, I'm going to smell it on you and I'm going to call it on you.
Wow.
And he did. Like he was all about, he came from a different era. It's presentation, like put yourself together. Don't be a slob, and you're representing your school. It's important. But also you are singing a piece of music that you've never heard of before. You wouldn't have come across. But let me tell you, as somebody who studied this stuff, this is a brilliant piece of work. And if you are lucky enough to express it, you're going to work your butt off while I'm conducting. And I'll send you, when he passed, I drew this picture of him, the cover of this album that we made for him. I see his face all over the place. Whenever I need, and it's very easy, especially now post-pandemic and the strike, we all took a hit, I think. Very few people didn't. And I see the image of him is ingrained in my mind of like, we go on, get up. And my mom too was just like, I don't know how she raised my brother and I. My dad left and she was like Betty Crocker. She like the flip hairdo and she just created a career and kept us in this middle class house because she didn't want us to move out of that neighborhood and that school system, put us through college. And when I got back from college, I was out of my narcissistic, adolescent head. I went, how did you do that? She went, what choice did I have? What choice did I have? She's 86 years old. She goes to Zumba class. She's got a little cute Zumba tushy. She's just a force of nature. These are the people, and if you're watching this, call your mother. If she's dead, don't do that. That's a waste of time. But call somebody you love, which was actually something you said, which really hit home. People die, and then that's that. And I really got a sense of, wow, you don't get to call your mentor anymore and friend. You don't get to call him. It's gone. Yesterday celebrated, but yesterday was the second anniversary of my dog dying. And I didn't know what grief was until that happened.
I'm so sorry.
And now it's, thank you. So there were always things that I loved raising money for this children's hospital. Mm-hmm. And I would make these silly videos with her. And so I thought, you know what? She's not around, but I have a bankload of all these videos. I can repurpose them, start up a page on Instagram and post those videos and create a space that isn't just about like, who wants to go to see a memorial Instagram page for a dog maybe once, but I wanted to start something. It's called the Daily Boo, if anybody's interested. And I put it up last night, and I'm going to start every day putting the old videos on and also telling stories, so it's kind of present. Not always about her, but I really said I want this to be about anybody who has a dog and discovered that rare. It's an exquisite, singular pain when you lose a pet, especially the first time. Yeah. And if you want to talk about that, but what if you've got a new recruit, you've got a new puppy, and you want to talk about that? Send me pictures. Let's make this. I want this to be a tribute to what this dog gave me, which was reason to get up in the morning. You can't not walk her, you can't not feed her. Plus, she was just this happy soul. So I said I didn't want to. I waited a while. It's been 2 years, and I wanted to wait until that sharp pain was duller, and now I just feel like I want to celebrate what she was, and I don't think I think you can do that. If I wanted to do that with Troutwine, the teacher that I was talking to you about, there is a page on Facebook. People just every once in a while they'll think of him and they'll write something, and we all get to go back, and it's like it's great. It's part of it's that bittersweet joy of surviving through a loss. Loss is very much a part of life. And the more you can incorporate it and make use of it, and to help other people deal with their first loss. Like, that's really what I want this thing to be. And also to drive and suggest eventually send a couple bucks to this children's hospital. That's what we did, you know? That's the idea. Okay. So there's a half an hour answer to your second question.
That was so beautiful, though. That was beautiful. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm really sorry for your loss. I mean,
thank you.
Really horrible. I mean, people don't get it. Like, you know, people really don't get it. I mean, a dog will never cheat on you. A dog will never call you a prick. A dog will never make you get jealous. I mean, a dog will get jealous of you if you come home and smell like another dog. But other than that, they're perfect.
They really are. And you're like, but what's the whole deal with they live an eighth of the length of time that you do? Like, why did you have to go and do that? Well, I do think that I do really truly believe we live in everything. The universe is just, there's a cosmic architecture that we can't see. We're not supposed to. I don't know that we have to name it or sing to it on Sunday. I don't know that it gives a shit, quite frankly, but we're being run through some kind of mill. And I used to think I could take my dog Boo and spend every minute of the rest of my life trying to teach her just to put the car in reverse and drive out of the driveway. And I would have wasted my life. She will not learn to drive. Yeah. She sits there in the other seat and would watch me drive like I was Buzz Aldrin or something. And I used to think that's what the universe is like. It's like, you know, I lost a friend a couple months ago, and I was like, well, say what you will, he's smarter than the Pope right now. Like, he knows more than the Pope does. Nobody knows what comes next. And it's better to kind of like make use of that. There are ways to, another guy who inspired me was this guy, Phil Stutz. I think we talked about last time. And if you're interested in him, there's literally a documentary on Netflix called Stutz. Yeah. And he's a shrink out in Los Angeles, and very, very funny guy. And he's not like any other shrink. He doesn't indulge the past. He's like, I think I talked about my family like maybe 45 minutes, and I saw him for almost 20 years. And really what he did was he filled in the gaps. My dad left when I was 10, and he kind of basically filled in the gaps. He's, you know, taught me a lot about just, you know, navigating not only the business, but just life, you know, and very practical. I mean, stuff that like hands-on stuff. This is his book. I don't make any money, but
lessons for living. Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you a copy. And I'm going to choose. I'm going to send you and Lloyd. Am I getting that right? Lloyd?
Victor.
I'm going to send you Victor.
I've never been called Lloyd in my life. That is
let's go with Lloyd. I think I like Lloyd for you. Victor's fine, but aren't you more of a, don't you feel you're Lloyd? I mean, the best possible, 2 L's. L's. You want a V or you want 2 L's?
I'm just glad you called me Miguel or Pablo, so I appreciate it.
I'm going to send you each a copy of this, because I hope this means as much to you. And he's written 3 books, and he literally says at the beginning of this one, the first 2, I think I finally got it. So I just condensed everything. Who needs to hear all the other shit? Like, I condensed it, and this is like a manual, and it's self-explanatory. I'm not here to push that, but I want to. I can't think of anything better to send you guys.
But so no, in a way though, you are here to push that because we're here to push you, and these are part of you. So like, I think that. You know, I
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, please plug anything that's important to you, because that's That's what we're here for, because you're important to us.
Well, I'll send you the address if anybody watching this is inspired and wants to throw a shekel or two. I went to the Loma Linda Children's Hospital. I was out in Los Angeles doing a show called Unhitched on Fox. We used to call it Unwatched because it was. And so we got canceled. We got canceled real fast. We basically were like, during the audition, they're like, "That's it, pull the plug." And no, but it was actually it had a great pedigree. The Farrelly brothers. It was kind of funny, but it was unwatched. So it gets canceled, and I've been in a lot of canceled shows. I mean, it happens. But I'm driving through the desert to go to this Loma Linda Children's Hospital because for a decade, my cousin, who's on some committee there, says, "Will you come?" And I mean, they're so far out of the celebrity beltway that I was they thought me taking pictures, shaking hands with doctors will move the dial. So I'm driving out there, literally driving through the desert. And you know how when you drive through the desert, it's almost like you could be going 100 and it's like you're standing still.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. To paraphrase Carrie Fisher, like the insides match the outsides. I'm in a desert and I am standing still. I was 40 something and I was like, I don't think I know why I'm doing this anymore. Every show, like I don't know. Yeah, it's like whatever you choose, it's all a crapshoot. And like these people love you, they can't get enough of you, and then they don't even tell you the show's canceled. You read it in the paper. Like I was on a show with Sally Field. She read about our show getting canceled in the paper. Sally Field. She picked up the paper and went, "Well, that's that." It can be a really cold business. And I was at this point where I was like, whatever drew me to it in the first place, which was women. And I want everybody to love me instantly the way my mom loves me. But I want to cut right to that. I want to walk into a room and everybody will already love me, cut corners. And turns out, show business adds corners. That's the final irony. But so driving and I thought I had nothing to do. I gotta go do this thing I've been promising my cousin I would do. So I go out there and long story short, it was everything I didn't think it would be. Meeting these doctors, they were so grateful, holding a prototype for the first artificial infant heart that was keeping an infant alive. And the 70-year-old retired doctor who said, "Thank you so much for being here, for showing up. It means so much to us. I got to fly off." And the person who was showing me around, this woman, Jo De Leon, said, "You know where he's going? He's flying to Baltimore.
Yeah.
He's taking the red eye to Baltimore because there's a child and he's going to try to save the child. But if he can't, he's going to come back with that child's heart and put it in this child." So that,
steep stuff.
Back to back procedures. The guy's retired. And I was like, I lost it. And so I just thought it's too late to go to med school. Plus nobody, with rare exception, needs my fingers inside their body. But that's a very rare and specific, situation, but certainly not a life-saving endeavor. So I just thought I can pimp my famous friends and put on little, shows, which I did a couple of, things. We raised money. And then my dog Boo and I would make these videos. And at the end of the videos, we say, "Hey, throw a couple of shekels this way." And that was that's an accumulation of guys, people like my mom and Troutwine and people I've met along the way, like Stutz, whose main thing was, there are all sorts of little things that are very practical that you can practice, help you in a moment of sadness or fear, little practical things you apply that that are really life-changing. That basically the thing, after 20 years, I was like, well, if I had to sum up what I got from Stutz, it was anything that happens to you is useful. If you're alive to say this bad thing happened to me, it's useful. Norm can't get on stage right now, but if he could, I bet he'd be fucking hilarious about the other side, right? But that's it. Like there's a clock on the wall. You never really know what time it is.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you should slow down and relax. And if you don't want to do something, don't do something. But when you feel like I'm not doing anything and now there's a malaise and a sadness, there are ways to jumpstart and engage life, and and touch that sort of cosmic architecture, which sounds real fruity, but I believe it because I've experienced it, and it's energizing. It's like the bars on a phone. Like when you plug it in, it's like powering up a phone. And that's why you read this book, and most people read a book and they'll go, that's interesting. But if you actually read this book and he said this to me when I started seeing, he goes, give me a month, and if this shit doesn't work, fire my ass, because this is expensive. But I've been doing this for 30 years, and not once have I not seen it work. It's not a Scientology technology. It's really practical. It's like learning. It's like your brain can be a lawnmower or a rocket.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's basically it. But and that's so in that spirit, like, like yesterday I was like, it's Boo's birthday. You know what? It's time. I'm going to open up that page, and I'm just going to open the spigot again. Maybe we can make a few more bucks for the hospital, but also people are losing dogs all the time. It hurts so badly. And, and I found when I did, things would come out of the woodwork. People would, you get the universe will take care of you. It's okay. You're going to be scared. You're going to go through pain, but if you keep walking forward and you have a positive attitude, and you still find ways to give, more than you take. What's that Dylan lyric? It's like, learn how to accept kindness from others, but also learn how to give, be kind to others, but also learn how to accept kindness from others. And, there were times, like right after she died, I was a helpless case. Thank God for my friends, but also people I'd never met who said something or offered something, a new perspective, and it gets you through. This will be meaningless to people who haven't had the experience of that. And I'm not some holy roller. I'm not talking about any specific religion or any practice or anything like that, other than you can look at the world. You can notice the shadows, or you can notice the light.
Oh, definitely.
And in every loss, I mean, the fact that I'm not going to tell you anything that I mean, I don't mean to be presumptuous, but having known and spent time with Norm, who was incredibly special and inspiring to so many people, but the fact that you had real contact with him, I'm sure if you put some thought into it, even if it's just your own act and what it offers to other people, and how you can feel him in your heart, like pushing you forward. Don't stop, because it sounds like he rode you pretty hard too. Like he saw something and he challenged you.
It wasn't all roses. I mean, there was
no
thorns in it. Yeah.
So, well, I just lost a friend a couple months ago, and another friend had an argument with him the night before he died.
Oh.
And he went, I can't believe. I said, don't go there. Friends argue. That's where you were on the road. You think he was going to stay mad at you the rest of your life? What were you arguing about? Some stupid little, you called him on something. He could be an asshole, and he died.
It's like when Victor and I argue, I literally say, listen, tomorrow we're not going to bring this up because it's over. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I roll, because it's like we could have an argument. It's healthy to have, but to dwell on it, there's no reason to it. You know what I mean?
Life is short, and you don't know how short. That's the thing. Life could be like, it could literally be like, you don't know. Their aneurysms happen. But also, as the great Michael J. Fox once said, hey, man, life is long.
Yeah.
He's somebody who's got a great freaking attitude, and talk about being burdened with some, undesirable extras. I seek out souls like that. I find inspiration, and because, like you, I'm drawn to comedy. That's I can, someone like Gary Shandling, I had a couple of very brief conversations with him. But it was his comment. Like, I've been binging Larry Sanders. And but all through the pandemic and post-pandemic, there's nothing I haven't heard that Norm did. Like all those shows that people were putting up. I was so grateful because I'd listen to them just to get to sleep, you know?
So that's where we're different. I have a hard time listening to him.
I understand. Well, yes. Well, that's different.
Like you were talking about being kind. That's one of the things Saget taught me, because when Norm died, Saget called me once a week.
Man.
And that's like, I believe in spirits, and I believe that they're still all around me. You know what I mean? So like, but yeah, I just can't listen to interviews or watch when people, like when we talked about this the last time when OJ died. I care nothing about OJ. Like, whatever. I don't care if he did it or not. He didn't affect me whatsoever. But the fact that people are now sharing jokes that Norm did, that affected me.
Yeah. That was there was something a little weird about that, but I get it. And I also get, I've got, I didn't, when my dog died, like, the first thing they say is, do you want the remains? I was like, shit, no, I don't. No, she's gone. I don't need to look at a cup of her bones. I don't, but I did have this thing. Like I was on the beach with her once, and I found like a shell and then a little brown shell. And I thought, oh, it's like me and her. And I kept it, and I always traveled with it and kept it. She would travel with me all over the place. And the other day it fell, and that little brown one broke. And I was like, and I was like, I'm 59. I'm upset. The shell, but it's because this stuff runs really, really deep. What they mean is, like, that's okay. You're not ready to watch you will be one day. But what's really important is, and I think you honor him by just, okay, it's rather than looking at him and revisiting things that cause you pain, be the things that he was nurturing in you. That's the best way to honor him. That's what I was talking about. And that's not what that book is, but in essence, it's in the spirit of what this guy Stutz taught me, which was nothing that happens doesn't have something very powerful to offer. And your job is to parse through it. Not immediately. Sometimes you need to just sort of sit and go, wow, that hurts. But, the gift of knowing someone is special and in touch with his own humanity and what made him like everybody else, and why everybody relates to his comedy, or most people, who have a sense of humor relate to his comedy, is that there was something inherently decent that you could sense that can't be fake. And having been around that, having experienced the benefit of that, like having physical remnants of that, of course it's painful. Jesus, I would be in the same place. I kept, I kept my dog's bed, and I was like, I gotta do something, like, but it took me 2 years to start this page. And then I think, what I need to do is, one day I need to just go to the park, dig a hole, and put that bed underground and say thank you. And also, like, I noticed, like, yeah, the shell broke, but that's not her. She's gone. But I get it. That pain is very much a part of you. That's part of being alive.
Yeah.
That pain is, believe it or not, of use to you on stage. It's fuel, pain, rage. As long as you know, and you don't even have to consciously know how to use it, but you're already connecting with, just by telling me that, you're connecting with me. And by crafting jokes and just being that person and going on stage, you're connecting with people in ways that you can't possibly even know about. was I read this great book by David Mamet called True and False, and it just calmed me down about acting, which was basically like, learn your lines, don't bump into the furniture. The heavy lifting's been done.
Yeah.
Play's written, and don't sit there fretting about like the play isn't. You're not controlling anything. The audience, the play happens somewhere between you and the audience, and as many people are in the audience, that's how many plays are being watched, and you're really kind of tangentially involved with the whole thing. So when somebody comes backstage, and this happens with comics too, and they're like, wow, that was great. And you think I had a bad show, man. And you say something like, I wish you were here last night. It's insulting because the difference is so minuscule. Like you may notice it, but you're probably wrong because the worst judge is you.
Right.
And also, why would you deprive them of a thing that they like this? That was great. No, it wasn't. Last night was better. You wasted your money. Let me give you $5.
You should go into a time machine and come tomorrow or the other day.
As I'm sure, I would be interested to know if, like, I mean, I know he was a different animal, and like if he bombed, I heard these stories that like he found joy in like waiting by the door to say goodnight to people, just to shove it in their faces.
Yeah.
And like that legendary concert where they were like, just go G, and he started talking about pig fucking.
I got so many stories, and I'll tell you if you want to stick around, but I do want to like ask these.
Oh yeah.
Three
yeah.
questions.
Yeah. Ask the questions. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Victor, do you want to ask your last question real fast, and then we'll go to me? And
what's it called? Yeah. So with you play Lacerda in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I was wondering what it was like on that set because it's such a cult following. Like, I mean, I love that movie, but I've seen, like, I don't know, was it trippy making the movie? Because watching it, like, I don't know how much of that stuff was special effects, or because there was like a lot of like full camera shots and just like
he didn't have a lot of money. I remember in college I saw Brazil, so that's how old I am because that came out in like 82. So no, like 80, 84, I think it came out. And I don't know why, but that if you've seen the movie, like there's that thing where he's in the chair and then there's this close of Michael Palin, like they're torturing this, the main character and going, I think he's gone away. And basically you're looking through the eyes of someone who's just gone nuts, and then it just, I think it goes, whatever it was about that movie, I started flipping out in college about death. And I'm still really close friends with my girlfriend at the time. She goes, oh, I remember that. That was a bad week. Like for a week, I was like, what happened? Jesus. At any moment, like, and what happened? Like, all of a sudden, it all hit me, and then I just realized it. I had this thought of like the Kennedy assassination happened in, I think 63. Yeah, 63. I was born in 60. Yeah, I was born in 64. So I was like, death is going to be. It's like it'll be. Like life will be like, it's a bad example, but anything that happened, I mean, before I was born, plenty happened before I was born. It'll be like Lincoln. Like, like I wasn't conscious about any of that shit. I don't know if I was anything or part of any, like, and I'm not scared. Like nobody gets scared. Like, oh, before I was born, freaking out. Before I was born, all the Abbott and Costello were alive. Now they're not alive. Like Abbott and Costello used to be alive. Well, I missed it. Like John Adams. Like I'm scared. Like it's so crazy. So whatever happens afterwards, it'll be like that. Yeah. The only thing, I hope it's not a shark. I hope it's not a very slow plane crash, like whatever it is. I hope it's like the end of The Sopranos run, that's it. Like I don't need to linger, but I also think there are souls that, again, I'm going back to Norm, this guy kind of hung out in the darkness for a while. He shared it with very few people. I was not one of them, but you were, and very few were. The idea of, the strength of character of saying, I'm here. I have a gift for being funny. It's the most important thing. Whatever happens, I know he didn't. I know he kept maintained a positive attitude, but you know, you're dealing with something that's potentially not great. And to give people the gift of not worrying about that. I just want you to laugh. That's why I'm here. And if I'm hobbled by something, you're looking at me going, oh, whatever. You know, like he didn't want that. He just wanted to be fucking funny. And
sometimes he didn't care if it was funny. But like he just
which is hilarious.
Yeah, he'd just be like,
that's hilarious.
I mean, let's finish the questions, then we'll, you know, because I want to respect your time. But
did I? What did I? Oh, it was the Fear and Loathing. Oh, that set. So I saw Brazil freak me out, and then I read Fear and Loathing like that summer, and I was like, because it's so good. And I'm not a big reader. I read that, The Firm, and then articles. You know, I'm not a big reader. But I read that book in like one sitting, and I was like, holy shit, I don't need to try any of this shit. I was like, I don't need to go there. And it was also like this great cartoon. Like Hunter Thompson is the shit, man. I love words, and I love writers like him. And, you know, Carrie Fisher was also the same way, just loved language and loved bending language. And and so did Norm. I mean, was obviously like a wordsmith. I love language. I love the imperfection of the English language. And so I finished that book, enjoyed it tremendously. It freaked me out. And I did have the thought, no one can make this movie, but, you know, the guy who made, Brazil, no one but Terry Gilliam could make this movie. 10 years later, I'm in an office auditioning for Lacerda, and I get it.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks after that, I'm in the desert outside of Los Angeles, and I'm eating lunch at a table by myself, and Terry Gilliam in full chic regalia, because that's how hot it was. He wasn't even being funny. Chic, just sits down next to me. He goes, go ahead, ask me anything. Because he could tell I was like a fan, you know.
Yeah.
And he was so nice, so present. They didn't have a lot of money, and they had to there were certain effects they had to have, like the lizards, you know, which kind of looked like Fraggle Rock. Like I think if that movie had more money, he could have done something really. I felt it was a bit. I felt like I was being beaten to death by that movie, but I've watched it in pieces. And I love the scene that I'm in, but I'm the only sober person in the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, in the movie, I'm drinking club soda. And the one funny story I have about it is I had a scene, it was cut, but it's in the extras during the motocross sequence. Did I tell you this? I can't remember.
No.
I told the story recently. I come in and I go up to Johnny Depp, and I think he's got like one. I have a line, and then he has to answer me. It was a very quick sequence. So my funny idea was, you saw what I did with a glass of water. Like, I can drink an entire glass of water really, really fast. And so I said, club soda, please. I'm the only guy who's having non-alcoholic, non-barbiturates, don't have needles hanging off my arm in the whole movie. And they set me up with a big tumbler club soda. I drink it really fast, say my line. He says his line. And, I hear laughing. Terry Gilliam goes, that's great. You do realize you need to do that 8 more times for the coverage.
Oh my God.
I had to drink 8 glasses, but we were in the desert, which I'd never really spent a lot of time in the desert. So I'm realizing, like, 5 hours after we're done, I'm just sitting around and I'm going, I don't have to pee. Like, that's weird. But I sweat it all out because we were in the desert. Right. I peed through my face. Which I think is a photo, which I'd like on my tombstone. See that I peed out of his face, Craig Bierko. Anyway,
so Craig,
I love doing that movie. Love being a part of it. And when somebody in an airport comes up to me, and it's from that movie, I know that it's going to be about that movie.
And they just scream at you, Lacerda.
No, there's just so you. I mean, I haven't done so much that it's like, let me go through the Rolodex of. You know, I've done a bunch of stuff that all of it and most of it they're like different genres. So like
Yeah.
I can tell the Long Kiss Goodnight people, and then there's Sex in the City. It's if it's a middle-aged woman, it's gonna be Sex in the City. Usually. But yeah, I can usually tell.
Am I a Dickie
And you fit
Roberts
the bill.
kind of vibe?
Lloyd fits. Yeah, but not for the reasons you think.
So great.
Fuds.
So I had
Who's
two
fun
more.
is Spade?
Spade's the best. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh, Spade's the best.
Yeah.
Funny
man.
So two more questions, and like these are just like really fast answers. A lot of hardcore fans of the Marvel universe know that you were Wolverine. And how is that?
Well, I was in the parody. I was Wolverine. I have a piece of film of it. They were literally, I think, showing someone around the academy, and they had to include Wolverine. So there's a writer named Jordan Rubin, very funny guy, another guy you might want to interview, very funny guy, and he wrote. I don't know if he wrote this piece, but the bit was because we don't have Wolverine in this, so they called me up. Because I had done Scary Movie 4. And so Craig Mazin was directing it, who wrote that movie. And he said, would you come and do the Wolverine? It's going to be a shot. I was like, yeah. So I came in, got into the thing. And Jordan Rubin, who's a smaller guy, is also dressed like Wolverine. And he's going to be my son.
Right.
And he said, here's the scene. We're basically going, so that guy's Wolverine, he's really angry and he's got knives for fingers. That's his son. It's basically panning around and they're showing you the people who aren't really going to be part of the movie because they have to. And in the shot, the thing they came up with, and I am sorry, but I have the footage to prove it. I'm bending over with my pants down. And my son has his fingers out and a roll of toilet paper, and he pulls it. And I go, get in there, really get in there and wipe good. Don't be afraid to get in there as they're passing. He's wiping my ass because I can't wipe my ass because of the knives.
Right.
So whatever.
Wolverine, yeah.
It makes no sense at all. And they put me, I'm on the movie poster. So I signed the movie poster, but I'm not in the movie at all. I think there's a shot of Wolverine shaving his legs, but that's another actor. It's not me.
Well, and then the final question is, Craig, would you ever consider doing stand-up comedy? Because I think you would be great at it.
I agree.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say I've actually gotten up and done stand-up comedy, but I have. Like, I used to date Jeanine Garofalo, and she would say, you should get up and do it. It was during the alternative era, which for me was like, yeah, this is the alternative of comedy. It's not funny. Like, it's like you're getting up, people are getting up there with jokes that they haven't finished writing. And it's like, I think this is called not doing your homework. Like, this is the alternative to comedy, And but the people who made it from that time, they did do their work. They were people like, Patton Oswalt, Galifianakis. These guys they were part of that same scene, but they did what every other, there's no difference between the way they worked. It might've been the tone, but they were workhorses. They were like David Brenner or Alan King, people who had become ironic. Work is work. And I used to get frustrated with Jeanine. But that was like something that I think she was part of it. Also, she's an incredibly generous soul. At that time, she was like the hottest comedian on ticket. If she had a tour, she could have had anybody take it, but she always took people who needed a break. And she got me up on stage. I said, I'll do it, but I want to make it more of an act, sort of like a. So we had something where we kind of fooled the audience. It's too long to go into, but it was funny. And we did it at Aspen Comedy. And the guy who ran all the improv said, do you want to tour the improvs with this? And I was like, let's do it. And she was like, I don't want to do the same thing every night. And I was like, you mean like an act? Like it took a while to get this right. She's like, No, I want to get up with the legal pad and, do alternative comedy. And, I think that was a phase, and she would probably look at it a different way,
Yeah.
Also, that's a lot of but so I've only done it in that way. But as far as like putting together,
do it.
I mean, I have so much material.
Do it, and
I don't know.
you, me, and
because
Victor will go on tour.
Well, I would love to, I mean, I love a challenge. But then I see people like yourself. I'm a big fan of, do you know Erica Rhodes?
Yeah, I think she's great.
I think she's very funny. And I'm like, why isn't she breaking through? She is breaking through more than she gives herself credit for. But, I'm like, she's like the whole package. She's beautiful. She's really funny. And she does this thing. I don't even think she's aware of it. It's part of that. Like it's a star quality thing. She tells a joke and she gets a laugh and then she smiles. It's like this little punctuation shine thing. And it's like, I wonder if she's even aware of that.
No, yeah.
But like, it's so endearing and like, but I see how hard she works and that it takes, and I don't know her. We've like traded messages and stuff, and I went to see her live. But I love comics and always go out of my way to tell comics I love that I love them.
Yeah.
And I'm always behind. Like when I see a talent like that, I really root for them, but also it's humbling. It's like there's I live near, I think New York stand up. Yeah, is that
okay? I mean, I don't know where
on
you
Upper
live,
West Side.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know. I think that's the name of the club, and I literally walk by it every day. I cannot tell whether they've closed or not. Can't tell, which is not a good sign. But I keep thinking, put a set together, and what do you care? Because I take it, the answer is, I don't know. So I probably should, just because it fucking scares the hell out of me. But I have so much respect for you, but also like guys like Dave Attell. These guys are like, they build 747s that fly,
right.
Like comics who are like, I have no business being on stage with, but that's very negative thinking.
That's your negative thinking. Yeah, because
it's like,
because
and half of these guys, half of the best guys are like, I have no business being on stage with myself. Like,
yeah,
like it's scary. I like the idea, and all my life, people are like, you should do stand up, and oftentimes it's the thing that it's the lowest hanging fruit, but not like a bad way, but the thing that seems most logical, because I've always loved comedy, is like, why didn't you ever follow that? I really don't have an answer for that, other than like, now I'm like, really, what, starting now? Like, go out there, like, and experience, 2 years of bombing. And so that by the time I finally find my voice, I'm in an oxygen tent. And my voice is like,
funny.
That actually really is hilarious.
I was being rolled to the club, and I saw it. Well, I didn't see because I'm blind, but the nurse told me, oh.
So Craig, we'll leave it with this, but I wanted to leave you with a logical question of an answer you just said. You said a reason why you haven't actually tried it is because you're afraid. And I remember earlier today, you were saying that when you were, your cousin wanted you to go visit the hospital and you kept making excuses, because you were busy or whatever. But you were also technically afraid. And then when you got there, you were feeling, hey, why am I doing this? What is my career? And then you did it and it gave you so much joy. So I feel if you try stand-up comedy, it will give you that same joy. And I just wanted to leave with that because I feel in your heart, that's where it's at. Like, I feel it's an adventure you should try.
Or metaphorically, am I in the lifeboat with a life vest on and a dress probably because I fooled them? And you're on the Titanic going, come on and listen to the music. It's nice. Come back, listen to the music. Is that what's happening? I don't know. No, you're right. You know what? Here's the thing. I don't know what I do collect. I write, like I have a writing partner and stuff like that. And I write, but and this came from Jeanine and also working with Larry David, like carry a book, write everything down. Like I never, like if I think of something, I have to I've got a list of undeveloped stuff, but what am I saving? Like, what am I doing? So there is some instinct that's like, there is some gravity that's pulling me towards this planet. And then the closer I get to the planet, I see people, it's populated with people who have put in all the work and deserve, and they're and I'm like, why am it's the wrong planet. I should be at I got to go to the other planet, but maybe I need to land and
and you also have a lot of benefit of the doubts because you're a famous, so people will will like be like, all right.
I don't know. I'm famous. I think I'm famous, but but also I remember Jeanine used to say, if you're famous, and at that point she was at the height of her. She said you get 5 minutes tops, and then you better produce. Yeah.
So you have that 5 minutes.
I don't think I'd have 5, but maybe I'd get he looks like, is that Brendan Fraser? He didn't lose all the weight, did he? But I think some of it is like, this is so fun for me.
Yeah.
And to find that comfort level on stage with a mic too. Like on stage, it wasn't until I did improv comedy at college for one semester. I mean, I did it like an off-campus show, but it solved a lot of problems for me as an actor because I was on stage just a couple of weeks ago doing a play, and we didn't have enough time to rehearse. And I'm on, I don't know, Broadway, 1,500 people with this great actress, and it's this intense scene, but we only had like a week. It was crazy. And I was like, I know my line is coming up, and I know there's a word with a G in it. I hope I remember what to say. And I said, did you have these moments? She goes, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's just, we didn't have time. And you've somehow learned to keep your cool and do your job, even though, and it was improv that thought, yeah, if whatever happens, I know, like I'm alive on stage. I have to think that way in terms, if I want to go and do stand-up. I'll tell you what, if you're ever in New York or I'm everywhere, keep me apprised where you are. You never know. Bierko might get on a plane. Yeah. And for your enjoyment, fail spectacularly in front of others.
Let's do it.
And then wait by the door in this hat and honor our hero by making sure I shake each and every member
of their hands.
Of that crowd's hand.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for doing it again. If you want to stay, I'll tell you some more Norm stories.
I'd love to hear that stuff. Yeah.
Victor, you're welcome to stay if you want to. Guys, the Rifters, subscribe, rate, review, and we'll have Craig back again, I'm sure. I
hope so.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, everybody.
On the Reza Riffs.